Hello everyone. So this is a new lesson. Look at the picture. What do you have in front of you? Simile, metaphor, hyperbole, personifications. So today's lesson will be about figures of speech. Let's start with the first one, the easiest one. Once you have as, like, we're comparing two dissimilar things, we're talking about simile. So one condition for using simile or for identifying something as a simile is they should not be completely similar. So I can't say I look like my sister. In this case, that's not simile. They should be different, but they have one common feature. Let's take the first example. So my heart is like an apple tree. He's comparing his heart to an apple tree for a reason. Read the example. What's the point of using similes other than beautifying the text, which is a reason or which is a trait for all of the figures of speech? The other example is to clarify the point, to explain something, to make it clear to the reader. So here we have two examples, as still as a mouse or like a drum. Here, my heart is like a singing bird. My heart is like an apple tree. My heart is like a rainbow shell. He's comparing his heart to a rainbow shell. Second one, metaphor. Here it's the same. I'm comparing two things. They are different, but they have one common feature. What's the difference? The main difference is that I don't have as or like, so I'm comparing them directly. Children are the most beautiful flowers of all. I compare children to flowers. What's the point? To show their beauty, to show their other than beauty, what is it? How nice they are, maybe. Okay, let's take more examples. Or religions, arts, and sciences are branches of the same tree. I'm comparing religions, arts, and sciences to branches. Did I use like or as? No. So that's metaphor. More examples. Our words are but crumbs that fall from the feast of the mind. Crumbs are like small pieces of bread. Why did I compare the words to the crumbs? Simply to show that what we say is just a part of what we have in our mind. Clarifying the point, Mr. Neck storms into class, a bull chasing 33 flags. So what's the point of comparing Mr. Neck to a bull? It's simply to show how he's storming angrily, aggressively. More examples. But now, oh Lord, you're our Father. We're the clay and you're the potter. We're comparing ourselves to clay and our Lord is the potter. Why? Because he's making us. He's creating us through experiences, through tough parts of our life. And that's it about metaphor. Personification. We have also comparison, but here you're comparing non-living beings, animals, or things to a person. So we're giving the things and animals the traits of a person. We're giving them human characteristics. The raindrops smiled. See how they are smiling? They smiled as they gently fell to the earth. The raindrops, things, do they smile? Never. But here we compared them to humans by giving them the traits of human, by giving them human characteristics. So the raindrops smiled. I'm comparing the raindrops to humans by using smiling. That's it, nice smile. Okay, let's take more examples. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but ourselves and immortality. So here he's talking about death as if it's a human being that can stop. Is that possible? No. But we're using it to clarify the idea. We try to scream, but terror takes the sound before you make it. You start to freeze as horror looks you right between the eyes. You're paralyzed. So guys, is it possible for terror to take the sound? Is it possible for the horror to look you right between the eyes? That's not possible. We're giving horror and terror human characteristics. And that's it. Hyperbole. The easiest. We usually use it in our lives. Look at this example. I've told you a million times. Is it possible? No, it's not. Maybe she told him like once, twice, three times, even more, but it's not a million times. Why did she use exaggeration? Why do we use in our life exaggeration? It's simply to create an impression in the reader and to reflect our idea. Let's take more examples. I love you, dear. I love you till China and Africa meet. I love, and the river jumps over the mountain, and the salmon sing in the street. I love you till the ocean is folded and hung up to dry. Everything mentioned in this poem is impossible. But still he's using exaggeration to show his emotion and to create a certain impression in the reader, maybe the lover's mind. Well, now, one winter it was so cold that all the geese flew backward and all the fish moved south and even the snow turned blue. I mean, do you think it was cold to this extent? The snow changed its color? That's impossible, but still he's using it to reflect something and to create an impression, to show us how cold and freezing it was at that time. That's another one, antithesis. Antithesis, guys, is used in order to show an opposition, but usually we use the following contrasting ideas in order to reflect a certain meaning. Look at the following. What will happen once you see the picture of peace? You might think of war. And what will happen if I put them together in a sentence? It will create a certain feeling in your mind and heart, and it will reflect the idea in a better way. When I say antithesis, I'm talking about two sentences or two phrases that are contrasting but in the same part or next to each other. War destructs, but peace constructs. Together they create a certain feeling. Let's take more examples. So guys, they should be phrases or sentences. They are not only words. To err is human. Guys, if you're making errors in your life, this shows that you're a human being. To forgive, divine. Maybe he's showing the importance of forgiveness and how difficult it is. See, this is antithesis. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Live together as brothers or perish together as fools. How would I know the importance of living together? Tolerance, acceptance, by realizing, you see, the ultimate fate we might face once we have or once we lack the tolerance necessary for us to live. We will perish if we don't live together. So live together or perish together. We have this antithesis and it creates a certain feeling. Usually they use it a lot in speeches, and this was a speech done by Martin Luther King. Another example, it was the best of time, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. See, creating a certain contrasting, to create contradiction in our ideas, opposing ideas, to create a certain feeling. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity, it was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. During that time, at that period of time, we had, or they had everything: hope, despair, everything before us, nothing before us. Show how hard that time was. And that's it, antithesis. Oxymoron. So in the antithesis we said that we have two contrasting like sentences or phrases. Here we have pairing two words. Usually they are opposing or contradictory. Let's take a look at the following. Sweet sorrow. When you think of sorrow, usually we don't think of, but putting them together creates a certain feeling. More examples of oxymoron, two pairing words that usually come together. Friendly fight. I mean, if you say fight, how is it friendly? It's friendly because they are sisters. Unbiased opinion. It's an opinion, so how is it unbiased? It works. Awfully pretty. Whole piece. Completely unfinished. Alone, together. So read the next. And let's go to the one after, paradox. Guys, this is the most confusing one. If I read the following word, let me explain before reading the definition. The child is the father of the man. Oh, what a confusing sentence. The first thing that might come to your mind is, how is the child the father of the man? It doesn't work. but still it works. If you read it again and try to find the philosophical dimension, the perspective behind this sentence, you will realize that you are not talking seriously. We don't mean that the child is the real father of the man. What we mean is this father is created, or not father, any man, any human being is created because of the period he passed in during his childhood. So our childhood created us. The experiences, the tough times, our relations, what we passed through created what we are right now. So we are the result of our childhood. And that's when we realize that the child is the father of the man. So paradox is a literary device. It seems false, but it has a reality in it. Examples: war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Guys, without war, we can't achieve peace. And once we are free, this makes us slave to our responsibility. We have to be right all the time. Not right, we have to be responsible for what we're doing, so we become like slaves. And if you're ignorant, you don't think a lot, you don't suffer what intelligent people and knowledgeable people suffer from, because you don't think a lot. So ignorance might be strength. Read the following, guys. They have certain reality inside them. I'm going to read the first one. Whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important that you do it. So guys, any unimportant thing will be important. It will be like a ripple that leaves an echo in the ocean. So do it. And let's go to the last one. Usually I ask you, when you're writing an essay, I ask you at the end to end it with a rhetorical question. And some of you might find it hard. Usually the purpose of the rhetorical question is not to be answered. It's simply asked in order to let you think of it, and that's it. Usually I might ask you, or I might ask the question to emphasize a certain point, to criticize, or even to persuade you in an indirect way. Why is this happening to me? The purpose of this question is not to get an answer. Simply, it's to criticize the situation you're passing through. Are you crazy? You don't need an answer. You're insulting him or criticizing him. Who cares? It means that you don't care. Let's take more examples from literature. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? For sure, the answer is yes. And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? The purpose of all of these rhetorical questions is to come to the conclusion that we should take revenge. This is the type of question I would like you to include in your essay. Are we a nation that tolerates the hypocrisy of a system where workers who pick our fruit and make our bed never have a chance to get right with the law? Are we a nation that accepts the cruelty of ripping children from their nation arms? For sure, the answers from everyone who's listening to Obama's speech should be no. Or are we a nation that values families and works to keep them together? Sure, it's yes. So usually they start with questions to come to a certain conclusion they have in their mind. That's it about figure of speech. Before I go to the exercises, let's wrap up. The purpose of using the figure of speech is not only to beautify the text, although they give a certain beauty to the text. The main purpose is to clarify a certain point, to explain a certain point which is not clear, and to persuade the reader of a certain point. So please, if you're writing an essay, try to use as many figures of speech as possible to serve the purpose, the final purpose. And now let's take a look. Here you have 13 exercises. You can simply pause the video, think of them. So these are the first 13. And here we have the rest. So 24 exercises for you to check whether you get the point or no. And that's it.